All right, busy morning. Today is Friday. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I wanted to go over some of this stuff real quick. This is the preamp, which has no built-in crossover, from Audio Legion. It's fine. The only complaint I have is that the sub bass is centered at 50 hertz, which is not really sub bass, but as long as it controls the volume, you usually have an equalizer / bass boost on your amplifier. But I wanted to go over this. This is a pretty good deal until this is a 0 gauge input and then 4 gauge output. Until I compared it to the price at what do you call it? Recoil. Recoil has better pricing. So this is great if you want to rebadge it. So because this is easily, I think you can take this off, or you can put a decal over it or something like that. That's an easy way, or just leave the thing off and there's no badging on the bottom. I wanted to remind you guys I have the 500 amp relays for only $45, and then to add the control module so that it automatically turns on and off at a certain voltage, which is what the old smart isolators used to do. If you remember, the first one was from Lightning Audio. Well, actually the first one was a 70 amp version called the MBR70 from Orion. And after they fell apart, Lightning Audio picked up and contracted with the same company and said, hey, let's build a 200 amp version, which was the SSR 200. And then when Lightning got acquired by Rockford came out with their version, which I think it was called SSR 2002 under the Lightning brand, and then the CPSR under the Rockford brand. And it was the exact same thing, but it was a smart 200 amp isolator. And now that they make these big heavy duty isolators readily available, the prices come down really tremendous. And then also, again, I can give you a link I'll put it in the description on how to buy the it's just a voltage setting. So it's basically like when there's a certain voltage, like say, and that's all the other smart isolators used to do, is they would monitor the voltage of your primary battery, because if it's low, it'll be under load and it won't register at, like, say 14.4. Like, so your alternator puts out 14.4, and then with the load of the battery charging, the regular battery, the starting battery, it'll knock it down a few volts or something like that. And so you can set this so that you can make sure that your battery is fully charged. Like, say you set the gate to 14 volts. So anytime it reads 14 volts or greater, it'll switch this on and charge the back battery. Does that make sense? Because that's basically what it did. But they sell these modules on Amazon for like $20 last time I checked. So I wanted to go over that. Let's see. On the NVX setup. So I have a reseller account, so it wasn't too much, but it still cost me like $40 to ship that NVX VCW version 3 subwoofer back to NVX's distribution warehouse, which is in Louisville. But if you complain heavily to Amazon, and it's easier to get a hold of Amazon than it is to get a hold of NVX. I went through that last week and it was fucking trouble. And then they act like they don't know what they're doing. They're like, oh, we got to touch the returns. And I'm like, I went through the phone tree and you are returns. So who am I talking to? So again, that is part of NVX's bullshit. And again, I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. I didn't want to just say, oh, these guys are douchebags, but it looks like pretty much that they're douchebags. And again, that's Nathan, is the owner president. And you can, if you go to Sonic Electronics or any of their videos based on their web channel, Nathan's in charge. So that's his company, Sonic Electronics. And then the brand that they own is NVX. And they're importing all kinds of stuff like that. And of course, the guys at Recoil told me he's a dick and he screwed him on a couple of deals through Edge. And so, he's not welcome to the party anymore. And then I feel bad for you guys. But the good thing is somebody actually complained and got a return shipping label through Amazon. So make sure if you're going to return it like I did, because $200 for one of those woofers is not worth it, especially when there's so many other Again, they're just made in China. It's not magic. It looks great, but it's not, again, it's not magic. Make sure you complain through Amazon to make sure you get a return shipping label, so that way it doesn't come out of your pocket. So for me, and even then, put that on your feedback that you leave on Amazon for NVX as a vendor, that it was a lot of trouble and they're fucking pain in the ass. I have to do today. I'll do the review on this fucking beast for Curtis Navarro. That one is finally finished, and I got 3 more to do, and then I got to test the Neo. In fact, let me open this one up. So, because this one had rubbing right off the bat, and so this was one of Larry Frederick's projects, and it finally showed up in the shipping, and so the guys at Recoil want me to do some of the lifting as far as testing and acceptance and design modifications to make this thing the best it can be. So let me tear this open real quick and show you. All right, so it's a paper cone with a looks like some sort of treatment or poly laminate, and then this is for the Cicada line, and then this is the Cicada dust cap, and then that's what they wanted me to make sure was that it had the magic coating on that. It was funny. I go, you know that magic coating is bullshit, right? And he's like, just make sure it has it on there. I was like, okay. So, but see right there, we were getting some chatter and some weird stuff, and it might be related to the copper piece. So, which I'm not a fan of, but whatever. This could be for thermal reasons, and also for, again, shorting ring, which again, not a fan of, doesn't need to be there. Don't put it in there. Don't put anything in there that doesn't belong. I do like this frame though. There's plenty of good venting below, just a 4-bolt pattern. But we're gonna make some modifications definitely to that motor, and then even dress it up with a bolt-on heatsink like I was showing you. John Henry from Trio mentioned his the other day when he was over, and I was like really impressed. I was like, holy shit. And I said, why didn't you go with like a double stack magnet? And he's like, well, it needs to be shallow. And I'm like, oh, and he ran into the same thing that I'd have, which is as soon as you say shallow woofer, people go, oh, it sucks. And so he kept it a ferrite woofer, but it is shallow. And that was like that one that I posted on Instagram that I just used a double 3/4 inch slugs and then like really thin back plates to keep the depth below 6 inches. 6 1/4 is about as big as you can get in those prefab boxes that fit underneath the back seats in the pickup trucks. So, but this is theirs, and then I'm going to go ahead and just do a recone. I'm going to go ahead and salvage this coil and just see if the problem was. See, again, I don't know why it was getting that chatter. Again, I think that chatter came from what happens sometimes with these things, and we've seen this in ScanSpeak when they put a copper shorting ring in there, especially in a dry climate, a dry and cold climate. Static builds up and it weirds out and it creates weird currents in there. One of the things that caused in my buddies over there at CarbonFi, he makes those carbon fiber rings. I'll put a link to him in the description. But he spent the money on the fucking ScanSpeak stuff, and I go, dude, it's not worth it. And then he ended up having a bunch of hiss because of it. And so then he switched them out for, I don't know what I sold him. Like, I think I sold him the GONZO tweeters. He's like, no problem. So I was like, oh, yep, it was that problem. And so again, it's this dumb thing that with a small signal, it does make a difference, but in regular playing, it doesn't. So again, keep anything out of there that's not supposed to be in the fucking gap. I don't know how to tell people that, but again, if you want to be like, Dildo Jacob and put a aluminum ring in there that's going to fall apart. See, and the other part is that you can't bolt it in there, because then it's not effective for what it's supposed to do. It doesn't create a short anymore because you're grounding it to because it's an electromechanical magnetic item. So it needs to be isolated too. So that's the other thing. And again, it's like, stepping over $1 to pick up a dime. Like, just don't do that. But anyways, that's my opinion for speaker building, and we'll go from there. Also, I posted on Instagram the Vato Extreme 10-inch So I didn't get the parameters from the first one that I built. I got the parameters from this one. The FS is too high. I'm going to add some mass to it to see if we can recover it. If not, the next version needs to use a softer spider and maybe a more compliant suspension, but we'll work on that later. I got to do a recon on this one this weekend, and then I got to do specs on this one real quick and send it back. But they didn't want me to release any other information than this that I showed you now, just because it's an unfinished product and they don't want to get people's hopes up. I don't know why Larry F was so well. What I understand his perspective, which was that they don't typically want to announce anything because it gets people all riled up and excited, and then they have nowhere to go with it. And so he likes to wait till like it's here, it's available and ready to go, and then you can kind of fill that need. Me, I like to fucking cock tease you guys big time. And so then when it finally shows up, you're like, ah, yes, awesome. Again, it's just a thing. But the motorcycle guys tend to be a little bit more intense, which is why they need to be on a giant motor vibrating their genitals in the first place. So, and again, I don't really need that. But anyways, I love you guys. I will talk to you later. I'll do some more videos throughout the day and this weekend. I've just been super busy doing recons, and so it's just been tough because I don't have any helpers, and it's tough to find people that are willing to listen and do the work. I had another apprentice come in, and he traded in a 12W7, I'm sorry, 12L7 from Kicker, and I said, yeah, let's turn that into a round woofer. And right off the bat, he strips out all the heads on the screws, and I'm like, fuck. So, and then I'm like, okay, now you have to drill it out. And then he just starts hammering on it with the drill, and he dulls out the bit immediately. And I'm like, fuck. Like, you've never done this before. And he tries hard and he means well, but it's tough to find people that know what they're doing. And then Hayden he had his baby early, and he's taking care of his little baby girl, and congratulations to him. Thank you, Hayden, for helping me out. And again, I hope to get this nice loan, which Citibank, shout out to Citibank. Thank you for giving me another $2,000 on my Citi card, so I can actually buy more stuff from Alibaba. That was great today. And then I'm going ahead and just buying a lot of the parts that I know you guys will consume, but then I'll just charge you later for. Again, I can't recommend that you guys take advantage of the GONZO Jr. pre-sale as much as possible. You're not going to find, especially the way that prices have been going, you're not going to find a deal better than that. And again, I still want it to be the best deal, even if it's more than what the pre-sale price is. But I love you guys. I will talk to you later.